You close your eyes. Your breathing slows. Your muscles soften. Your heartbeat settles into a steady, sleepy rhythm. To anyone watching, you look completely asleep. But somewhere deep inside your skull, one small structure is still awake, still alert, still working. It's not resting, it's watching. And for millions of people, this hidden part of the brain never fully shuts down. Not at 11 p.m., not at 2 a.m., not even at 6 a.m. when the alarm rings. They wake up exhausted. They blame stress. They blame their mattress, their screen time, their coffee habit. But the real answer is stranger and far more ancient. Your brain isn't broken. It's guarding you. Tonight, we're going to explain why your brain treats sleep like a threat and how one hormone, cortisol, has quietly hijacked your nights. By the end of this video, you will never look at your bedtime the same way again. Why tiredness isn't the switch. Here's something almost nobody knows. Feeling tired does not put you to sleep. Tiredness is just pressure. Scientists call it sleep pressure, a chemical called adenosine that slowly builds up in your brain the longer you stay awake. The more adenosine, the heavier your eyelids feel. But pressure alone can't open the door to deep sleep. Something else has to give permission first. Think of your brain as a building with two guards. One guard tracks how tired you are. The other guard checks if the building is safe to lock down for the night. You can be exhausted, dead tired, and still lie awake for hours because the second guard hasn't said yes. And that guard doesn't respond to yawns or heavy eyes. It responds to threat. Which brings us to the real villain of this story. But the next reason is even more surprising. What cortisol actually does. Cortisol has a bad reputation. People call it the stress hormone, like it's some kind of enemy. It isn't. Cortisol is actually a survival tool. It's the chemical your body releases when it needs energy, fast, to run from danger, fight off a threat, or handle a crisis. Thousands of years ago, this system kept your ancestors alive. A rustle in the grass, a shadow in the dark. Cortisol surged, muscles tensed, senses sharpened. The problem is, your brain today cannot tell the difference between a tiger in the grass and a stressful email at 9 p.m. To your nervous system, both look identical. Both trigger the same chemical alarm. And here's the twist almost nobody talks about. Cortisol is supposed to be low at night and high in the morning. That's the natural rhythm. It should rise right before you wake up, giving you energy to start the day, then fall steadily through the evening, clearing the way for deep sleep. But in millions of people today, this rhythm is flipped upside down. Cortisol stays high at night, right when it should be disappearing. And when cortisol is high, your brain receives one very clear message. This is not a safe time to lose consciousness. But your brain has another hidden mechanism behind all of this. Why your brain thinks you're unsafe. Deep sleep is a vulnerable state. Your muscles go limp. Your awareness disappears. For a caveman ancestor, this was the most dangerous moment of the entire day. So your brain built in a rule, encoded over millions of years of evolution. Never go fully unconscious unless you are certain nothing is hunting you. Today, nothing is hunting you, but your brain doesn't calculate literal danger. It calculates emotional threat. An argument with your partner, a stressful deadline, doom-scrolling news at midnight, financial anxiety replaying in your head. None of these are physical threats. But your amygdala, the brain's alarm system, cannot tell the difference. It fires the same signal it would if a predator was circling your tent. And once that alarm goes off, your brain refuses to hand control over to the deep sleep systems. This is why some people fall asleep instantly, but wake up at 3 a.m., heart pounding, mind racing, for no obvious reason. Their body wasn't just dreaming, it was standing guard. But the next reason is even more surprising. The HPA axis, your body's hidden command center. There's a communication line inside your body most people have never heard of. Scientists call it the HPA axis, short for hypothalamus, pituitary, and adrenal glands. Think of it as a chain of command, like a military hierarchy. The hypothalamus is the general. It senses danger, real or emotional, and sends an order. The pituitary gland is the messenger. It relays that order down the chain. The adrenal glands are the soldiers. They receive the order and release cortisol into your bloodstream. This chain is brilliant during the day. It helps you handle deadlines, difficult conversations, physical exertion. But at night, this chain is supposed to go quiet. For many people, it doesn't. Chronic stress keeps the hypothalamus firing long after the actual stressful event is over. The messages keep flowing, the soldiers keep working, and your adrenal glands keep pumping cortisol into your blood at 10 p.m., at midnight, at 2 a.m. Researchers studying shift workers and chronically stressed adults have repeatedly found something unsettling. Their cortisol never fully drops at night. It just hovers, elevated, keeping the nervous system in a low-grade state of alert. Their bodies technically sleep, but their brains never fully power down. But the next reason is even more surprising. Why your phone is secretly sabotaging you. Here's something that will make you look at your phone differently tonight. Your eyes contain special cells, not for seeing images, but for detecting light levels. These cells report directly to a tiny brain region called the suprachiasmatic nucleus, your body's master clock. When that clock senses blue light, the kind pouring out of your phone screen, it assumes one thing. It's daytime. So it delays the release of melatonin, your body's natural sleep signal. And in some studies, it doesn't just delay melatonin, it nudges cortisol upward too, because the brain interprets bright light as a cue to stay alert and ready, not to power down. So picture this common scene. You're lying in bed, scrolling social media just for 10 minutes. Bright light hits your eyes. Your brain quietly concludes that the sun is still up. Meanwhile, the content itself adds fuel to the fire. An argument in the comments, a stressful headline, a comparison to someone else's life. Light says stay awake. Emotion says stay alert. Together, they keep cortisol elevated at the exact moment it should be falling. You put the phone down, you close your eyes, but your nervous system is still running the app in the background. But the next reason is even more surprising. When your own thoughts become the threat. Here's the strangest part of this entire system. You don't need a real danger to trigger cortisol. You just need a thought. Lie in bed and replay an awkward conversation from 3 days ago. Worry about a bill? Imagine a bad outcome for tomorrow's meeting. Your body responds as if the event is happening right now. Heart rate rises slightly, muscles hold tension, cortisol ticks upward. Psychologists call this anticipatory stress, your brain rehearsing a threat that hasn't happened and sometimes never will. This is why overthinking at night feels so exhausting and so wide awake at the same time. Your body is bracing for something. It doesn't know the danger is imaginary. It only knows the alarm went off. And once cortisol rises, deep sleep becomes almost impossible because your brain's safety guard is still standing at the door, arms crossed, refusing entry. But your brain has one more hidden layer to the system, the brain's invisible safety checklist. Before your brain allows you into deep sleep, it silently runs through a checklist, not consciously, not with words, but through hormones and nervous system signals. Is the environment quiet? Is the body temperature dropping? Is cortisol low? Is there no immediate threat, real or emotional? Only when every box is checked does your brain release you into the deepest, most restorative stage of sleep, the stage where growth hormone is released, memories are consolidated, and your brain literally cleans itself of toxic waste through a system called the glymphatic system. But if even one box stays unchecked, especially the cortisol box, your brain keeps you hovering in lighter sleep stages, restless, easily woken, never fully descending. This is why some people sleep 8 hours and still wake up feeling like they got 2. They technically slept. They just never got permission to go deep. But the next reason is even more surprising. The evening habits quietly raising your cortisol. Some of the most common evening habits are secretly working against you. Late-night intense workouts spike cortisol as a natural side effect of exertion. Great in the morning, counterproductive right before bed. Caffeine in the afternoon can linger in your system for 6 to 8 hours, keeping your alert systems active long after you've forgotten you drank it. Checking work email at night reactivates the exact stress circuits your brain needs to power down. Even something as simple as an irregular bedtime confuses your internal clock, forcing your HPA axis to guess when it should quiet down. None of these feel dangerous in the moment, but your brain doesn't judge intensity, it judges patterns. And a pattern of nightly alertness teaches your brain over weeks and months that night is not a safe time to fully let go. But there's a hormone working in the opposite direction, one most people misunderstand completely. the quiet power of melatonin. If cortisol is the alarm, melatonin is the whisper that tells your brain the danger has passed. As darkness falls, a small gland deep in your brain called the pineal gland begins releasing melatonin. It doesn't knock you out like a sedative. It simply signals your body that night has arrived. Time to lower your temperature, slow your heart rate, and prepare for descent into sleep. But here's the catch almost nobody realizes. Melatonin and cortisol are like two ends of a seesaw. When one rises, the other is supposed to fall. If cortisol stays high, from stress, screens, or overthinking, melatonin struggles to do its job. The whisper gets drowned out by the alarm. This is why some people take melatonin supplements and still don't sleep well. The messenger is there, but the alarm is still blaring louder. Real deep sleep only starts when cortisol steps back and finally lets melatonin speak. What deep sleep actually does for your brain? So why does any of this matter so much? Because deep sleep isn't just rest, it's repair. During deep sleep, your brain flushes out waste proteins linked to cognitive decline. Your body releases growth hormone, rebuilding tissue and muscle. Your immune system strengthens. Your emotional memories get filed and processed, which is part of why a good night's sleep can make yesterday's problems feel smaller. Skip deep sleep, and none of this fully happens. You wake up technically rested, but biologically incomplete. Over months and years, chronically elevated nighttime cortisol has been linked in research to weakened memory consolidation, mood instability, and a weaker immune response. Your brain isn't being dramatic when it feels foggy after a bad night. It genuinely didn't get to finish its work. 5 ways to lower nighttime cortisol. So how do you convince your brain it's finally safe to let go? First, dim your lights 2 hours before bed. Lower light tells your suprachiasmatic nucleus that day is ending, easing the path for melatonin. Second, create a worry window earlier in the evening. Write down anxious thoughts on paper, giving your brain permission to stop rehearsing them in bed. Third, keep a consistent sleep and wake time, even on weekends. Predictability is one of the strongest signals of safety your nervous system understands. Fourth, try slow, extended exhale breathing before bed. Breathing out longer than you breathe in activates your vagus nerve, directly calming the same system that cortisol activates. Fifth, avoid intense conversations, dramatic content, or emotionally charged scrolling in the final hour before sleep. Your brain doesn't know it's just a show. It reacts to emotional intensity as if it's real. None of these require medication. They simply speak your nervous system's native language, safety. Myths that are quietly ruining your sleep. Let's clear up a few myths before we finish. Myth 1. More hours always means better sleep. False. Quality matters more than quantity. 8 fragmented hours can leave you more exhausted than 6 deep, uninterrupted ones. Myth 2. Alcohol helps you sleep. It helps you fall asleep, but it fragments deep sleep later in the night and can spike cortisol during the rebound hours before waking. Myth 3. You can catch up on sleep debt over the weekend. Some recovery happens, but chronic short sleep leaves lasting effects that a single long sleep-in cannot fully erase. Myth 4. Feeling tired means you'll sleep well. As we learned earlier, tiredness and safety are 2 completely different systems. You can be exhausted and still wide awake at 2 a.m. The truth is simpler and a little more human than any of these myths. Final emotional message. Maybe you've spent years blaming yourself for your sleepless nights, telling yourself you're broken, overthinking, weak-willed, just built differently. But now you know the truth. Your brain was never failing you. It was protecting you, using a system built over millions of years, designed to keep you alive through danger, war, famine, and predators. It just hasn't caught up to the modern world. Yet, it doesn't know that the danger tonight is a glowing screen, or an anxious thought, or an email that can wait until morning. The problem was never that you couldn't sleep. The problem was that your brain never believed it was safe enough to. And now that you understand why, you have the power to change it. One evening, one small signal of safety at a time. If this changed the way you see your own nights, you're going to want to see what we uncover next, because the story of your brain doesn't end here. Somewhere deep in your mind, there's another hidden system running right now, shaping how you think, feel, and remember without you ever noticing. And in our next video, we're going to expose exactly how it works.